It's been over 20 years since the original Pac-Man World released on the PlayStation, and while it was a decent start to a rather successful franchise, there were definitely some elements that could have been better. And apparently Namco Bandai felt the same way. So in a rather surprising twist of fate, they decided to breathe new life into this old classic with a full-blown top-to-bottom HD remake in August of 2022. I guess you could say Namco was inspired by other platforming mascots making their grand return to the public eye, and what better way to set the stage for potential new games than to reintroduce the series to a fresh audience. But having said that, let's see if this title can actually surpass the OG and stand on its own 2 feet. So, without constantly repeating myself and making this video sound redundant, I want to start off by saying that you can definitely feel the effort Namco put in to recreate this game to the best of their ability. There are much comparisons to be made and new added details / changes that need to be addressed. This is the first true next-gen World game, so as you can imagine, it looks beautiful. The game was developed by Now Production, who already has a decent history with the yellow fella, dropping on all current consoles like PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox Series X, and Windows PC. Just about everything has been tweaked in some way down to the music, gameplay, and cutscenes. We open up this adventure in a similar way to before, but now they remixed it by having the 4 standard ghosts kidnap everybody instead of random enemies. The party takes place outside instead of in the house, and the house itself got a redesign along with some of the characters. And don't worry, I'll talk more about that later. And also, the cutscene is made in engine and not pre-rendered like I'd hoped, but it's alright. Now, I will say the absence of normal voice acting is a little disappointing. This time everybody speaks in gibberish and there's subtitles to tell you what they're saying. It's a shame cause I'm gonna miss Talkman's robotic voice and Pac-Man's iconic scream. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal, just personal preference. But you know what is a big deal? Miss Pac-Man. Oh wait, my bad, I meant to say Pac-Mom. You see, she is one of a few characters that have new names and designs for this game. For those of you who don't already know or care, Namco has been tangled in a long-running legal battle with a company called AtGames over the copyrights ownership for Miss Pac-Man and other elements related to her. So, in recent years, they have retroactively scrubbed the character from old and new releases in a way to stop them from collecting money via royalties. As unfortunate as the situation is, it's just business at the end of the day. The redesigns for the most part are not that bad, but the lack of regular pie eyes, a nose, and these skinnier stick arms and legs just don't quite sit right with me. Maybe I'll get used to it eventually. Maybe. But anywho, enough of that. Let's continue on to the most important part of this remake, the gameplay. While there have obviously been some changes in different areas for better, Namco remade this game in the safest possible way imaginable. Everything you expect from the original game in terms of moves, collectibles, levels, mazes, bosses are all here and accounted for with a fresh shiny coat of paint. The hub world has been expanded to a much larger size with features from the start screen being available here instead. It also includes fast travel to other areas and helpful little tidbits like showing what items you have and have not collected yet. The levels themselves are pretty much the same structure-wise. Like I said, Namco wanted to keep things safe, so the biggest change is the graphical fidelity and extra detail on background set dressing. Pac-Man's overall moveset comes back in full, but does feel noticeably different in the control department. I wouldn't exactly say it feels better than before, but it functions alright. The only new thing worth mentioning is the giant Pac-Man you can transform into for chomping up ghosts. All enemies and obstacles operate about the same too, and unfortunately there are no new secret areas to explore. I mean, they still couldn't even be bothered to add the unused kooky crypt level from the mines area, so it's still strangely the only area with 2 levels and a boss instead of 3, which is quite disappointing to be honest, but I had a feeling that's what they were going to do. Now the boss battles are where this remake really shines. Pretty much all the frustrating issues I had with the mechanics have been buffed out this time. Each battle feels more epic and cinematic with these little intro cutscenes they added where Pac-Man flies in to power them up, making his and their presence feel more important in the grand scheme of things. The first boss adds an extra phase that keeps Windbag from being a complete pushover. The second and most infamous boss in the game is much more fair and tolerable, thank fucking goodness. The third boss is mostly unchanged but still better to control overall. The fourth boss surprisingly controls a lot better too, even though I was initially worried about this close camera perspective they chose. The fifth boss is actually kind of fun and challenging this time and makes the Pac Dot throw useful for once. And the final boss is trickier and more dramatic tone-wise, although I don't like how long you have to wait to hit him. But regardless, they were all solid improvements. 2 thumbs up. Now, the last prominent feature that I want to mention is that, of course, the music is still good and actually better than ever before. They have all been given a modern twist to enhance their sound in a more fitting way to current games. To be honest, some tracks I could barely even tell the difference between the new and old, but the improvements can be heard nonetheless. Here are a few of my favorite tracks that were done the most justice. Alright, so with everything this remake brings to the table in comparison to its PS1 counterpart, it passed the assignment with flying colors. I can proudly say that Pac-Man World Re-Pac is a decent and faithful return to the character's 3D platforming origins. Bringing this old classic back to the current day for new and old fans to enjoy was a great idea on Namco's part. Mind you, it doesn't exactly innovate in a huge way or shake up the industry or genre, but it delivers on its expectations and is easy enough for anybody to pick up and play. I sure hope Namco listens to audience feedback and considers remaking the others at some point, or at the very least make a brand new adventure a la Pac-Man World 4. I consider Re-Pac to be the definitive way to play the game now, as most if not all of my previous complaints with the mechanics have been addressed. So for now, I believe that more good things could potentially be on the way. We'll just have to wait and see. Have you played Pac-Man World Re-Pac? If so, share your thoughts on it down below in the comments as per usual, and don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more content such as this. Thanks for tuning in to Anubis Black, and I'll catch you next time.